found out that I would be a part of it. So I'm here today to sort of talk about my journey to self-love and acceptance and sort of what that looks like, not just for me, but for people in general. So I'll just jump in and get started. Thank you. So, we all start somewhere. This was my beginning. This was my birth announcement. I started off as a wee one. You all did. You all came into this world one way. Some of us grow up in families with one mom, one dad, both parents. Everybody's situation is different. One isn't better than the other. But this is where we all begin. And then we have a beginning. So this is me as a kid, little one. What's a fun time. And we all grow up. Some of us are in a loving environment at home. Some of us go through some more difficult things at home. But this is where we start. We get our beginning. And they say that the first 4 to 5 years of your life is when your personality develops. So whether you're nurtured as a child, the people that are in your life, it helps develop your personality and who you are. So it's a really critical and important part of our life. But then we start growing up. So these are some of my photos. And looking back at some of them, I look and I think, wow, I was different than I perceived myself to be. Growing up, I was critical on myself. I was larger than the girls that I went to school with, but I look back now and I'm like, oh, I wasn't that big. But in my head, I was ginormous, and it was difficult growing up. So this is some of my stages growing up. Some of them were really awkward. I had some really bad haircuts. Sometimes I wondered what my mother dressed me in. That's my mom right there. And that's my sister and my dad. And this is actually, I went to South Africa when I was 16. So this was at the airport just before I left. But when I started school, it wasn't easy. It was actually really difficult. So these are some of the things that I was told when I went to school. So starting from really, really young, I was told I was fat. I was told I was awkward. They said that I caused earthquakes when I walked. They snorted as I walked by. I remember in grade 5, I came home one day and was getting in the bath, and my mom noticed bruises all over my body. And it was because the guys had beat me up because of my size. They called me a pig. They told me I was ugly, and they said I'd never be good enough. Those were hard things to actually live through. But now going back through this, because of my journey, I actually didn't cry as I wrote these things out, and that's probably a first.
Can I just pause right there,
Yep.
sir? Girls, what do we call these words? Devaluing, and they are false labels, right? Remember when we all wrote out words that had been spoken to us? We had a partner take them off and tear it up and write what was true about us, right? So these were your false labels.
These were my false labels, definitely. So how did that impact me? What did I do? I cried a lot. A lot. I shed a lot of tears. I learned to hate myself. I started making fun of myself before anybody else had the opportunity to. So in social settings, when I was with my peers, I would make fun of myself before they could say anything to me. I fell for the wrong guys because I thought that's what I deserved. I did everything I could to make people like me, even if it went against my morals. Their hurtful words became my truth, and it became everything. It became the source of everything that I did. I would write out, this is serious, I would write out all of my possessions, so any jewelry that I had had, any dolls, any toys, anything that I had, so my parents could sell them and have some value from me. I remember, I can picture them, I would draw out what I owned and put a price tag on it and say, you can go sell my stuff and at least you'll get something from me. I would overeat, and I just kept eating. So that's some of the ways that it affected me. Some bigger ways that it affected me, I made really bad choices. So when I was here last time, I talked about how when you're in a place that you don't love yourself and you're not in a healthy place emotionally, you can tend to make bad choices that you wouldn't necessarily have made if you believed in yourself. So for me, I was grounded almost half of grade 11 and 12 because I hung out with the wrong crowd. I kept gaining weight because I ate my feelings. I didn't deal with them. I would starve myself at times. I worked out an insane amount of time and got sick. So I was actually working out 6 days a week, 3 hours of cardio a day. I would throw up after every workout. I lost an insane amount of weight really, really quickly, but then I got strep throat 6 times in a row, all in one summer, ending with scarlet fever. And then finally, because I still hadn't learned to love myself in my 20s, I married somebody who didn't treat me well. He treated me based on what I thought I deserved, which was nothing good. So I wanted to show you what this actually was. Like, I actually didn't cry either when I put these up, but I actually married somebody. And now I'm divorced, and I'm 31. And I used to think people were crazy when they said, when bad things happen to you, you're thankful for them because they make you who you are. But truly, it has made me who I am, and it's made me see how strong I am, and has helped me see my value and my worth. But it wasn't an easy road. And when I was your age, I wish I had somebody to say, hey, let's take a second and think about your value and worth, so you don't have to make the same mistakes I did, because it was such a painful process. Through my divorce, I would just spend days crying. I didn't know what to do. It was horrible, and I had nothing left in me. So I just thought it was important to show you the reality of some of my choices based on not dealing with what was on the inside. But then, one day, a light bulb came on, and I realized my worth, and it had nothing to do with what I looked like. When I was a kid, everything had to do with what you looked like. Your friends had a standard of what you should look like. The media had a standard. You see pictures of women who are photoshopped to the nth degree, and that's not reality. That's not attainable. And with Photoshop, it sure is, but it's not reality. So one thing I realized is it wasn't just the people who made fun of me who had it wrong, but I had it wrong because I didn't believe that I was valuable or worthy at all of anything. So that's what made my journey start on the path of healing and realizing my worth. So how did I start realizing my worth? So I started to love me, and here's some of the ways that I did that. So I surrounded myself with positive people, which means I started removing people in my life who were not positive influences, whether they tore me down or they were just negative influences and were a crowd that I shouldn't be hanging out with. I chose to ignore the mean things people had to say about me. There were a lot, and even going into the Miss Plus Canada pageant, I had people criticize me doing that. Well, why does it have to be a plus size pageant? And why are you posting pictures of yourself? And why are you doing this? And why are you doing that? But I knew what I had to do, and I wanted to share my story through it and help other people learn to love themselves. For me, a really big part of my journey was journaling. It was just a really helpful way to get out my feelings that were on the inside and process things and start realizing a lot of things. I talked to trustworthy people about how I was feeling. My mom was a great resource for me. I would just pour out my heart to her, and she would offer me insight. I also had really great friends. Natalie would be one of them. So I met Natalie about 2 years ago, I think, and she's somebody who has helped me through my journey of healing as well. I read a lot. I read a lot of books on the things that I wanted to work on. So whether it be my values or beauty on the inside, I read anything that I possibly could, and I am not a reader. Until this part of the journey.
Please don't use them to the office. Thank you.
This last one I actually had you guys do when I was here last time, was I would tell myself every day a list of things that I loved about myself and why I was valuable. So I literally wrote it all out, the things that I loved about me, the positive things that people said, the not really relating to my outside appearance, but on the inside, and I would put it in front of my mirror. I had it on my desktop on my computer, I had it beside my bed, and I would literally tell myself, you are beautiful, you are strong, you are worthy. I would literally tell myself that every day. And guess what happened? I started to believe it. Which is why I'm here today, to tell you, each and every one of you, how valuable you are. Those negative people who tear you down, their words don't hold any value, but you do. So once upon a time, they told me that I would never be a model because I was a big girl. I could never win a pageant because I was a big girl. Then it was, I would never win a plus size pageant because I had no experience and I have lots of tattoos. So those are two things that aren't really great assets when you're competing in a pageant. In the pageant that I was in, I was one of the only girls who didn't really have any experience going into it. I remember going into a store and one of the girls said, "So do you have your runway lock?" And I was like, "My what? I know how to walk. Like, what do you mean my runway lock?" But that was a whole journey in itself, learning how to do that. But I went from not knowing how to now knowing how to, and this past weekend I actually auditioned for Full Figure Fashion Week, which is in New York City this summer. So if I get in, I will be on the runway for a week in 6-inch heels, modeling for different designers in the plus size industry. So it's a really cool opportunity, and going from somebody who has no experience and who thought her dreams were never possible to now seeing them come to reality. So I proved them wrong, but more importantly, I proved me right. That I could do anything I put my mind to, and that your dreams can really come true when you first believe in yourself. Never would have happened if I didn't believe in myself at first. So I thought I'd show you some pictures. So on the left hand, the first picture is during our opening dance. We had to do a choreographed dance, something else I've never done in 6-inch heels. And that was a lot of fun. And then you really have to know that you are beautiful and valuable and that you have confidence and you have to carry yourself well to walk on a stage, do a little walk in a bathing suit in 6-inch heels. And then I also, the next picture is during my talent portion. I remember when I applied, I found out I needed a talent. And I remember saying to my mom, "I'm backing out. I don't have a talent. I can't design websites on stage. Like, it's just not going to happen." So I ended up sharing my story as a spoken word, and I ended up winning the talent portion at the pageant as well, which was really, really neat. I also won People's Choice, which was really exciting, and then I was crowned Queen Miss Plus Canada, the first one in Canada. So it was a really exciting time for sure, but never would have been possible had I not worked on the inside first. Another thing too to point out is going into the pageant, I thought, okay, maybe I should lose a little bit of weight, I should, clean up a bit, and I just really felt if I'm going to do this, I need to do this for who I am. I need to make sure that I go on stage not pretending to be somebody else or conform to somebody else's standards. I need to be me, and there's no other way I can do it. So when I won Miss Plus Canada, I was actually 316 pounds. I've lost about 50 pounds since then, and I'll talk about that, and that it's not the dieting, and we're going to talk about that as well because I think it's a really important aspect. So what have I done since winning? I've had a really exciting year. I've had lots of photo shoot opportunities. I also did Caribbean Plus Size Fashion Week in Trinidad, which was kind of funny because I'm on the tall side for the plus size industry, so not a lot of designers had tall clothes. So most of the stuff I modeled was bathing suits, which again, if I had not worked on the inside, there was no way that could ever happen. So that was really cool. I also spoke at the Fuller Woman Expo in Detroit and won an award for speaking as well. I did Caravana, something else really neat to do. That's that picture. I did a photo shoot when I was in Trinidad. Met some other pageant queens as well while I was in Detroit. And again, I'm hoping to get into Full Figure Fashion Week in New York. So lots of exciting opportunities and dreams that I never ever thought were possible. So I also learned what it's like to live a healthy lifestyle. So I think this is really funny, this first one. Don't step on it, it makes you cry. It's a scale. So these are all little funny taglines about the scale, but I always grew up thinking that whatever I see on the scale, that defines my beauty, that defines who I am, that makes me who I am, but it doesn't, it really doesn't. And the number on the scale doesn't matter. I spent most of my life trying every diet I could to try and lose weight, only to gain the weight back. And in the last 8 months, I decided I needed to get healthy. I was in a car accident 4 years ago, so I'm in pain all day, every day. And so my motive was, I need to get out of pain, and I need to live a healthy lifestyle, which means being balanced. So I started removing foods out of my diet that caused inflammation, and I started with just that. I took on one hurdle at a time, and I lost 15 pounds in the first little while, but the biggest part was I started to have days where I didn't have pain, and that was a really, really exciting thing. And then I slowly added being active in it. But it was all about balance. It wasn't about no carbs, no this, no that. It was about trying to find balance in what I eat and not crash dieting because it's not healthy for you and it ends up being a vicious, vicious cycle. And it becomes your focus. And I remember I would just think about food all the time because I couldn't eat it. And that's really not a healthy way to go. So what I really wanted to get home to you guys today was that hindsight is 20/20. So if I were to go back to when I was in grade 7 or 8, what would I say to myself now, knowing what I know now? And for me, I look back, even preparing pictures and stuff, I look back and I see, why didn't I think I was beautiful then? If I had spent the last 30 years thinking I was, would I have been so tormented in my mind and my heart? Would I have been in so much pain all my life? Would I have made such bad decisions? I probably wouldn't have. So some things I would tell my younger self is, you are beautiful just the way you are. You can do anything you put your mind to. Never give up. Don't be so hard on yourself. It gets easier. Dream big and go after your dreams. Give them all you've got. Being skinny is not the most important thing in life. You will make it. One day the bullies you went to school with won't be in your life, and their words will not determine who you are. Something else too I thought about on the way here was, I remember growing up, the big goal in life was not just about being skinny, it was about getting a guy. What can I do to get a guy's attention? What can I do to be with a guy? Everything revolved around having a man. And really, I look back now and I wasted so much time. Why not enjoy my life and do the things that I want to do, rather than focusing on trying to be something to somebody else, when you can have an amazing life on your own, and one day you'll meet maybe somebody who will complement your life and enhance it. But it's not just about being with somebody for the sake of it. So finding purpose in the decisions that you make, and going after what you want with all of your heart. So I posted on my Facebook and Instagram that I was coming to speak today, and I wanted to hear some things that other people would say to their younger self. Because I have one perspective, because I have one journey. But I thought that having other insight from other people might be helpful to somebody else who is going through something different. So I have a few slides of what some of the people said, but I just thought it was really neat. And also wanted you to know that people who are older, they care about you too. And people who have been on journeys as well, they care about your well-being as the next generation that's coming in. So to know that you have significance even though you've never met any of these people. So one, I would tell myself that it's okay not to be the cool kid, be in one of the cool kids at school. A core group of friends who accept you for who you are is much more important. Striving to be yourself rather than someone else's version of cool. Also, being friendly to someone who is on the outside can go much farther than anyone will ever know. When I was in school, I thought what I heard from my friends, what I saw on TV was the gospel, meaning the end all and be all, that's how it should be, and how the world worked. I would have loved for someone to have told me, the world is not this tiny window you see, the world is wide open. Not everyone is like your friends now, or even what you see in the media. Anything is possible. I would tell myself, you are lovely and you will succeed, despite your size, don't worry. It's normal, hang in there. Today is not your forever, but you can start to work on having a better forever if you learn to love yourself first. Celebrate the things about yourself that makes other people happy, and surround yourself with friends who genuinely care about you.
Can I just say something again, Sarah? Isn't that so cool that there's like a generation of women who are older than you, probably a variety of ages, wrote those, and they wrote those messages for you girls today. Like, I really think there's a lot of wisdom there, and there's a lot of help there, and there's a lot of insight there from people who were in grades 7 and 8, not that long ago. And it's really neat that Sarah was able to tap into a group of women. She has a wide following on social media, and that's what they wrote for you today. Yep. Just want to put a little exclamation mark on that.
I have a few more. So, sorry they're long, but I really think it's important to really get it, and to maybe see this as a marker in your life of where your mindset sort of changes, and to set you on a path for your future. So to love themselves and know that they are important, and their self-worth is not based on looks, but their heart and their spirit inside. I would tell myself not to think about calories and eat more chocolate. I thought that was okay. I would say to stop focusing on yourself. When we put all of our effort into trying to see how we are, we tend to focus more on what we aren't. Focus on things that matter, and let in what people who love us and truly know us soak in. That life isn't about who we look or act, but who we are to others. The only time I really think I'm beautiful is when I stop looking in a mirror and start letting my heart guide me. I thought that was a really neat line. Don't break down other females so you feel better. Build them up. In the plus size industry, it's really neat to sort of see the vast difference in women that I've met. And just before auditions on the weekend, we all gathered together, not on purpose, it just sort of happened. We were all late and showed up at the same time. But we all stood there building each other up, building each other's confidence up, not going into a competition basically and tearing each other down. And going into that audition, we were all so much more clear-headed and confident that we could do this and we were going to give it our best. I would tell myself I am happy and confident later in life. Yes, people will let you down and sometimes you may be alone, but you also have bright, happy moments. Moments you can be proud of yourself with your chin up, and most of all, people will find you attractive even if you feel plain and boring and unattractive. Just keep being kind and loving and they will love you anyway. Don't worry if you are loud and laugh a lot. It's part of your charm. I guess the main point is just be confident in yourself and be yourself. So I just have a couple more. I'm excited to share this one. So this long one here is actually another girl who is in the pageant. She actually grew up in Sunderland. So I thought it was neat to have her perspective because she came from Sunderland. So I would have to say, being a girl who grew up in Sunderland, that living in a small town area can sometimes be difficult and get you down. There's ridicule and bullying, and everyone knows everything within minutes of things happening. Rumors and talk fly like wildfire. Just to always be true to yourself, always believe in yourself, and the small town concept mind will leave you eventually. It's a big world, and not everybody everywhere will judge you for your size or what you look like. There's acceptance in numbers beyond the scale. I would have never dreamed of being who I am or where I am today when I was that age. Life is what you make it. Be happy, be yourself, and love yourself no matter what anybody else thinks or says. Be confident and be you. Every time you look in the mirror, choose one thing that you love about your body and appreciate yourself as a person. Don't be afraid to express yourself and never give up on yourself. I would tell her you are beautiful, wonderfully and fearfully made, and you are always good enough. Love yourself first before trying to love others. Love the things that make you different. They will be what make you shine when you are older. I love this one. This is probably one of my favorites because what I thought was my biggest downfall was being a larger girl is now what is taking me somewhere I never thought I'd go. So I thought that one was really, really good. Okay, so I'm going to show you something. This is me bearing all. And I actually bared it all on Instagram. So my biggest insecurity is my stomach. Yes, I've lost 50 pounds and that's great, but this was a big deal to post this. And I'm not telling you this because I got so many likes and all that. I'm telling you this because of how people respected that I was standing up about who I was. So I typically get, 60 likes on a picture. I got 365 and still counting on this one, which is huge. And I had comments of people saying, "You go girl, look at you go," and people encouraging me just being in my own skin. But that was a really, really difficult one to actually post because that's my biggest insecurity. And I'm trying to learn how to love every aspect of my body and every aspect of who I am. And it's a daily choice, but it's not impossible. And for me, this was just such a big step towards really embracing who I was and practicing what I preach, basically. So just some final thoughts. These are a couple of my recent shots from a photo shoot. But when I was younger, I used to want to be a model. I used to want to be in pageants, but it was because I needed somebody to tell me I was beautiful. I saw it as validation. I saw it as, okay, well, if I win something or I'm a model, of course I'm beautiful. That's what it means. But it's different now. Because I know my value and my worth and who I am, I do this because I enjoy it. I'm an extremely, extremely girly girl. I love doing hair and makeup. I love getting dressed up. And now I just get to enjoy it rather than, oh, well, if I only got 5 likes, no one likes me. It's not about that. It really is about who you are, accepting who you are, going for your dreams, and not letting anybody stopping you. If you're going to go through life and not let anybody get in your way, why would you let yourself get in the way? So I just wanted to share those final thoughts, and happy to take any questions if anyone has any questions about anything, but that's just really sort of what I wanted to share with you today about my journey.
If it's okay, I would say, Sarah, maybe we'll take a couple questions from anyone grade 7 because it was a split. And I had set it up for you to meet with the grade 8s in Mrs. Allison's room. Is that still okay? So have a chance to ask Sarah some things and have a conversation about what she's spoken about today. But do any of the grade 7 students have a question or comment that you want, something you want to say to Sarah? This is your turn to do that.
Oh wait, I'm reading.
I'll open it up.
When did you finally realize that your husband that you married was like the wrong guy for you and you finally divorced him?
I knew before I got married to him, but I didn't love myself, and so I chose to marry him knowing he was cheating on me, knowing that he was emotionally, verbally abusive. I still married him because I did not love me.
But then when did you find out, like when did you finally realize that that you were beautiful and
2 years after we were married. So a week before our 2nd anniversary, I told him something's got to change or this isn't going to work.
was this 13 months?
Yep. And then we were separated for about 10 months, and he continued to see other women and date women while trying to work on things with me, or pretending to anyway. And then finally, after 10 months of that, I said, no, this isn't happening. Either fix your stuff or we're done.
I'm dumping butt way before we got married.
And that's what you should do, right? That's why I want to talk about my
Way
story,
before we got married.
because I should have valued myself enough to say, when I found out a month before we got married that he cheated on me, that this isn't okay. And that's why I'm so passionate about sharing it, because I wish that I believed in myself enough then to actually say, I don't deserve, you don't deserve me.
He doesn't deserve you.
Exactly.
Horrible.
Right? It's actually kind of neat too. I saw him about 2 months ago for the first time in 2 years, and I was petrified of this day. And the first 15 minutes that I saw him, I just ran into him at like a restaurant. I was literally shaking because it was the day I feared the most. And we ended up sitting down and talking for an hour, and he basically was like, it's on me that I gave up on our marriage. And it was the closest thing to an apology I ever would have got. But it was a really cool moment of closure and realizing of I made the right decision of valuing myself. It was a lot of fun. We got a lot of different opportunities, and we had practice every week, so it was a lot of work. But we got to learn so many different things: choreographed dances, learning how to walk in 6-inch heels, and get your hair and makeup done, and photo shoots. And if it wasn't for Miss Plus Canada, my year would not have looked the way that it does. And it's just been such an exciting journey and so much fun.